This then naturally leads to the question of what the labor supply curve might look like if leisure were in fact an inferior good, a question we investigate in panel C. We again start with the same setup, an initial wage of $20 per hour and a leisure endowment of 60 hours per week, a new wage of $25 per hour, and an initial indifference curve that is tangent at bundle A, the same bundle as in panels A and B. The shape of the initial indifference curve is also assumed to be the same, which implies that the compensated budget will be tangent at the same bundle B as it was in panels A and B. The only thing that will differ is where we place bundle C. In order for leisure to be an inferior good, it has to be that when we jump from the lower green budget to the higher magenta budget, leisure consumption decreases. Thus, our bundle C has to lie to the left of bundle B in order for leisure to be an inferior good. We can then once again drop the 3 points from the top graph to the middle graph because we're measuring leisure on the horizontal axis in both graphs. The height of the points will again be determined by the wage at which those points occur in the top graph, with bundle A occurring at a wage of $20 and bundles B and C occurring at a wage of $25 per hour. The movement from A to B is then the substitution effect, and the movement from B to C the wealth effect. The substitution effect is exactly the same as it was in panels A and B, because we've kept the shape of the original indifference curve the same, and substitution effects are derived from the shape of the initial indifference curve on which a consumer starts. The wealth effect, however, now points in the same direction as the substitution effect and therefore reinforces it. This is because bundle C happens to the left of bundle B, which has to be the case if we assume that leisure is an inferior good. Connecting C and A, we again estimate our leisure demand curve, the curve that relates the wage to the quantity of leisure demanded by the worker. It has now become shallower than it was in panel B because the wealth effect has reinforced the substitution effect. We can then again translate the 3 points from the middle graph to the lower graph where we measure labor rather than leisure on the horizontal axis. As before, we simply recognize that the number of labor hours is 60 minus the number of leisure hours. The wealth effect once again reinforces the substitution effect, telling the worker to work more as the wage increases. This is the same that those two effects tell us in the middle panel, where they point in the opposite direction when leisure is on the horizontal axis. In other words, in the middle panel, the two effects say, as the wage increases, consume less leisure, which is the same as saying, work more. Connecting A and C in the lower graph, we then get our labor supply curve, the curve that tells us how the wage is related to the amount of labor that the worker chooses to supply to the market. It is now shallower than it was in panel B because the wealth effect has reinforced the same substitution effect that's present in both graphs.